What's up, guys? So yeah, just gonna try to get this quick video out. Allergy is messing with me. Just gonna try to get this out. Hopefully, I don't sound too bad. But anyway, so yeah, I want to talk about this video. Let me move over here. Talk about this fight. Right, we got Werdum versus Oleineik. A very interesting matchup. Now, as you can see here, right, this is on Tapology. You can see them right there. The record here: 23 wins, 8 losses, and 1 draw here for Werdum, and then we got 58 wins. Ridiculous, man. 58 wins, 13 losses, and 1 draw here for Mr. Oleineik. The boa constrictor, and of course, like from that name, the boa constrictor. This guy, he's got some really good chokes. Especially, he's got the choke from the bottom. I mean, he's really sneaky with it. It's pretty amazing to see. So, and the build's quite interesting. 42 years old for Mr. Werdum over here. 42 years old, 10 months. Like the same age, right, for these guys. So they're not spring chickens. They've been got a lot of competition. Of course, Moscow, Russia is where this guy's from, Oleineik, and of course Brazil for Werdum. Now, I don't want to talk about too much, but look at that: 6'4", 193 centimeters for Werdum, and we got 6'1" for Oleineik. And of course, the body types are quite different. Oleineik has very top heavy, has no neck, so that's going to be really good for defending submissions. It's hard to take him out, right? Of course, but of course, if you know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he's got this guy. Werdum's got a bigger frame, so it's kind of nice. I think he could kind of manhandle him in a way, but dude, he's so sneaky. Oleineik is very sneaky. I mean, he's got that nice. He'll get that even if he's in his guard. He'll get that choke from the bottom. It's pretty amazing. Puts the hand on your throat right there. Really good stuff. He's really persistent for it. Even though you know he's going to do it to you, right? You know he's planning on doing it. You know he's setting it up. He still gets it done. Okay, now I think Werdum is like arguably, one of the best. I mean, that's I think we can all agree about that, right? One of the best submission artists in the heavyweight division, right? Arguably, maybe the best. He got that submission win, of course, a good Hidor. And we got the reach. It's interesting, 80-inch reach advantage and 70-inch reach. It's funny because Oleineik, even though he has a little more, I mean, he's a huge guy, but more compact of the two. I mean, he has that reach. And if you'll see with Oleineik, I want to talk on this briefly. He has that power in his hand, especially his right, and you can see it. The way he kind of pushes it out there, it's like a sting. It's a weird thing to kind of compare it to, but I almost feel like it's like a scorpion because he has that. He's got that venom in there. He's the one to touch you with it. He'll swing it out. He'll swing it out almost like to find your chin, and he'll also swing it back. He just wants to touch you with it, and it's funny because you can see the reaction of the guys when it just lands. He's out there, and he's not just like grazing it. I mean, it's so heavy. He's so heavy-handed with that right. He'll smack you with it, and when he smells blood, when he gets you against your cage, he wants to land with it. He's pretty good about actually landing with it. He's not just swinging haymakers. He's kind of range finding. He wants to get through your guard, and of course, Werdum has that really kind of high guard. Sometimes he has a Muay Thai style. Kind of reminds me, in a weird way, obviously very different, but kind of reminds me as Overeem. He's fought Overeem 3 times. Went back and forth. Kind of, man, that last one I'll talk about that a bit, but really controversial decision in that their third meeting. I mean, they fought 3 times. Before that third fight between Werdum and Overeem, they had both gotten they basically both beaten each other, right? One for Werdum, one for Overeem, and then going to that third, you could see kind of Overeem his striking has really picked up, especially since the beginning. He's always been the submission guy, it's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, but his strike has really come through, and I think his we all see like against Travis Brown, right? He just jumps in there with the flank kick. He opens around throwing that flank kick, and against against Werdum, he did the same thing. Like, I mean, every opening of that round, those 3 rounds, he'd jump in there, even though he's gonna do it. It's still so intimidating. He just tries that huge body just runs across the cage and tries to land this flying side kick, basically almost. He throws a side kick out there, but his striking's kind of improved, and his, like I said, he gets hit and everything. He's not the finesse of Overeem, but Overeem, I don't want to go all over the place here, but you can see the if you go back and watch those fights, you can see the finesse, the kind of the way he kind of is throwing his strikes, especially his clinch. He wants to clinch up. He wants to do the Muay Thai. His knees are brutal, man. He's got really good knees. It's so interesting. It's almost like he took a page out of Overeem's book, and so I'll talk about that briefly. When you go back and you see these nice fights, like against freaking Roy Nelson. Now, I thought this was interesting because, of course, it's like early in his career, but even at that time, I think he hung with Nelson on the feet. It became a stand-up war. Nelson, of course, Roy Nelson has a really underused, great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game, and Roy Nelson kind of has that right, just like Oleineik, where they want to land that bomb. They know they got in there and they kind of landed out there. but I would say Oleineik is not as trigger happy with it as Roy Nelson. Obviously, I think Roy Nelson kind of fell in love with it, that power too, and he had his hands too much. Maybe, I mean, it's kind of a popular opinion, right? Oleineik will kind of shoot the takedowns a lot more. But going into that, I mean, Werdum, you see him like he goes like a 1-2 and a knee instead of just like when you see that like, when a guy's game is like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? You think they want to get to the mat, which they do, but the approach to it, I think Werdum kind of nice. He gets that plum clinch, you know, you got the hands right behind the back, and he's kind of like landing those knees up front, and really sneaky too. You know, over him also. I'm sorry, Werdum. You know, he always like he points at the ground. He has these tricks, kind of like Yo Romero. You know, obviously not to that extent, but he's always trying to messing around with you, kind of getting you frustrated. And you can see the aggression build in Werdum as the fight goes on. But he's always trying to do something like point like, hey man, sure. So he did that against Overeem, and Overeem's like, nah, I've been around the game. I know this shit. But yeah, I mean, that was really good stuff. You know, really sneaky, and he kind of just overpowered. I think that the knees are really good in that, and he cut open Roy Nelson pretty bad. And yeah, as a stand-up warrior, it's really good. I think his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can really neutralize the games because Oleineik has that crazy sneaky ground game. And you want to ask who's the better one? I mean, it's arguable. Werdum's got those good credentials, but oh man, Oleineik is so sneaky. I find this will be like a stand-up war because I think they're both going to neutralize each other's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, I think the thing is, if they get down, Oleineik is always going to be looking for that. He's going to get you down. He wants to get you like that choke on there, and I think Werdum can. I keep saying that. I think Werdum can, like, kind of neutralize his game, maybe. But the thing is, Oleineik is so persistent with it. Doesn't matter. He knows, like, okay, I know you're fighting off this pretty well, but I'm not gonna give up. And you think, oh, you don't want to burn out your arms, but he gets it in there, man. And it can happen. But I feel like Werdum is experienced enough to where he'll know. I think the big layoff coming off though, Werdum, I mean, Oleineik is more consistent. I mean, he's been fighting more consistently. Werdum's coming off this big layoff, right? So that's why it's a tough one to bet on. But let's just go back to the fights. Let's see on paper who should win. I just want to talk about Werdum a little bit here. When he was going back against Overeem and the third bout. This is the third meeting, right? Like he was 39 years old. Overeem was only 37. They're both 6'4", same height. So. And Overeem was actually the heavier built man. He was 253.5 pounds. Yep, against Werdum's 239 pounds. The weigh-ins. 70 cents again. Werdum has 77-inch reach, and Overeem has the 80%. 80-inch reach. Man, this fight though, I tell you, I think is this the one where he had the food poisoning? Overeem had food poisoning because he looked bloated than usual, and his approach was really weird. I mean, I just kind of left. I don't want to be rude, but like yeah, back in this fight, like when they're fighting, I mean, look at that. Werdum was landing some good, you know, he did that front kick, like a little teep kick sometimes, and the knees are really good. It's interesting because he took a page, like I said, out of Overeem's book, kind of doing more of a clinch style. And it's weird because Overeem came out with such a weird, he had his hands down, he's like, and he had his chin out, like almost baiting him, he kept shaking. And look, I'm sorry, I don't be rude, but it's kind of comical, man. I was like, what the hell? Like, it's so weird. And it's such a scary thing because you see the air, this is a time where you kind of have like that economic ream, you know what I mean? What, echo ream or something you call him, like? Instead of the Uber ream, right? He's like looked a little bit more bloated than usual. Still, obviously the heavier muscled of the two, but he looked bloated and he had his hands up. He's kind of like looking for it. And the first round there's booing. I think there's Overeem was kind of looking for that kind of I want to jerk in, right? He's like I'm fainting. Look, see, I'm twitching. He's almost like twitching to faint. Like I'm gonna do it. I'm landed. And he's trying to. He was just a whole fight trying to lure Werdum in. Which the thing the bet. The good point of that is that you're kind of baiting them, so you're not taking so many risks, maybe. But at the same time, the risk you are taking is you're going to have lower output, so you can be down on the scorecards. I'm sorry. And if you don't land something really clean, I mean, you can't just be hoping to land a bomb. You can't just wait for that, because even if you're faking all the time, eventually it kind of becomes a little bit too telegraphed. Like I'm shaking, I'm going to land it eventually. Oh, maybe I'll switch here, but I'm really going to try to land this right, you know. I saw that third time fighting, and Reem's hands were down, twitching to fake. Yeah, Reem's, you know, but Reem does drop. You know, the thing when I went back to this fight, I took some notes here, and it's just like, you know, Reem does drop Werdum briefly with like a left coming in him. I mean, he did have success with that, you know, in that first round. Yeah, that was like I think that was a really significant thing early in the fight, which is it's nice because it kind of gets the respect of Werdum right away, and also. Overeem gets in Werdum's guard. Like I think, he wanted to make a stand-up fight, obviously. But the thing is, Overeem has kind of low key kind of underappreciated ground game. Like he has quite a lot of submissions actually. If you look, like you think he's gonna have more. He's a demolition man. You think he have more knockouts, but he's got quite a lot of submissions actually. And yeah, but I think like, and also he kind of gotten Werdum's guard, but he'd get out. And I think it was weird because like commentator is saying, I mean, I think Joe Rogan was talking about how like you don't want to do that. Why are you doing this? Like you want to get back to feet immediately. But one thing it did say was that like, okay, I can get in and out of your guard, dude. I can get back up when I want to. So it kind of like a mental war game, I think. And he wanted to land some ground pound too. I think he felt, almost felt like he was more hesitant on the feet. You know what I mean? Which is kind of weird for over him. But I think this is a time where he was, I mean, maybe he did feel like he was bloated. He was not his best. And he's going against someone, dangerous in Werdum. So Overeem has this quick burst. Looking for this, he's like faking throw, to throw off Werdum's game, which he kind of did. He kind of did like, it was very effective. I don't think Oleineik's going to fight like that. But it shows like, it's, if Werdum, if Overeem's able to get out, which, I mean, Overeem's like such a vet of the sport, and he's good submission game himself, so I feel like maybe that's kind of why it kind of neutralized Werdum's game a bit, like he was able to get out more easily. But, I think like during the third round, like that last one, about 2 minutes in, like Werdum, man, this is it's like, it's just bound to happen because Werdum was like really dangerous kind of coming out there. And as it went on, I don't know if Overeem was getting a little bit gassed, perhaps, maybe, but he just was getting a little, I mean, that kind of awkward style of shaking, having your hands low, putting your chin out, and just twitching to fake constantly. You're leaving it out there, and eventually I think perhaps Werdum found a rhythm or what, but I mean, Werdum did land, man. He'd land a combo to the face, like he just, landed, and it was like so clean, like you could see him, get hit a couple times, like the head kind of jerked back a couple times for Overeem. Overeem, was getting rocked here, and man, and they get in his guard, and but they get up. I mean, the thing is, even in that, when he's hurt like that, I think Overeem was still able to get up. So hey, like I said, that's props to Overeem, and also kind of like a little bit of, I'm not sure if you want to say a red flag, but I was a little bit surprised to see it. But he's still wobbly, man. He was wobbly, and more shots, and then a takedown for Werdum because he smelled blood, and the ground pound, and that's how it ended. It's like, geez, and I saw this, I was like, man, watching this fight with no bias. I thought, man, you know what? I mean, how could Werdum's got to edge out the win in this, right? I mean, it's crazy. If you look at that, Werdum had at the end of it, it's edited right there. Go back and Fight Pass, watch it. Werdum 13 head strikes versus Overeem only 14 head strikes. Only landed one more strike than him to the whole round. So it's like a lot of baiting in this fight. And, it was fun. It was interesting to me, but I think obviously it wasn't a crazy back and forth war like maybe people wanted. I mean, Overeem was being more patient, if you want to put it that way. But and body shots, man. Werdum landed 14 body shots to only, compared to Overeem's only 4. And then knockdowns, Werdum's the only one that got the knockdown, and Werdum's the only one that got a takedown. Okay, only 1 and 1, right? He got 1 takedown and 1 knockdown. Overeem got 0. But Overeem gets the majority. Man, that was a pretty bad decision. I was actually really surprised. And Overeem looked happy to get it, but I was like, the win, he's like, all right, yeah, but I don't know, man. I was so surprised, but I was like, it's crazy. So it's, even though he lost to him in this one, I mean, that's a big asterisk next to that, because I think that was just bad judging. I'm sorry, but you had to give the edge to Werdum in that, man. What? Like, it just, I mean, he looked in danger. As the fight progressed, Overeem looked like he was getting more and more danger. And Werdum pretty much looked like the same. Like, he wasn't really. So, I mean, that's crazy. So, I mean, I think Werdum lost that, but I wouldn't hold that against him. I think, like, and to be honest with you, like I said, Oleineik, like, if you look back, it's great submissions, and I don't know if he's really going to be able to pull off a submission against Werdum. I don't think so. But the thing is, Werdum is a big frame. I think he'll land some takedowns. I think he will. I think he'll be able to fight off the takedowns. I bet you that huge frame. I mean, Oleineik does kind of spam him a little bit. Eventually he will, but I think like they'll kind of neutralize, and I think the power, to be quite frank with you, I think the power as far as the hands, I mean, I'll give it to Oleineik, man. I mean, that right. But the thing is, Werdum's good clinch game. He really clinched out in the knees, and I have to say, and he's going to be like, playing those little tricks, which might not work. He's going to burst out there. I just hope this layoff has been good to him. I think, I'm hoping that he comes back looking as good as he did before. I mean, he's got those good wins. I mean, if we go back here, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of talking about Werdum a lot, but I mean, look at this. Like, I mean, look, you got, of course, we all know that fight. Travis Brown, right? That was 7 months ago. It's quite a long time ago, but, he really, and Travis Brown, of course, like, was on the decline at this point. I mean, he just wasn't looking the same. As, that head movement, sorry. But, dude, memes. But, Yeah, man. But he would jump out. He was really aggressive against Travis Brown, and so it showed he could really hang with him. And then of course also Robertson, right? You got that loss against him. It was 2 years, 9 months ago. And then you got that Walt Harris win 2 years, 6 months ago, right? And then you got that Marcin Tybura win. Yeah, these are solid wins, man. 2 years, 5 months ago, like I said, you got that loss against Alexander Volkov. No shame in that. Volkov's a beast, and I don't know, but I just don't. And if you look at that. Yep, he got submission choke. Yeah, choke from the bottom. Pretty amazing choke, man, against Junior Albanian. This is only a year and 11 months ago, right? Right, Mark Hunt. Yeah, he got the submission win against him. Great stuff against Mark Hunt. I mean, obviously, Werdum has a good win against Mark Hunt, but Mark Hunt was really, it wasn't as best as, I mean, like, at that altitude, I mean, I remember Werdum was making a joke about it, right? Didn't he have, like, the gas mask on? He's like, that's what I told you. I had the gas mask. I said the air was crazy here. It's thin. But I don't know. Pretty good English, man. But anyway, Overeem, yeah, and then, of course, yeah, he has a loss to Overeem. Like, I don't want to read too much into that, but, like, it's not, you can't use MMA math too much, but just something to take into, look at knees and ground and pound. Yeah, which I really think, like I said, it's not to the degree of Overeem, but I feel like Werdum almost was like, I mean, this is my opinion, but it's almost, I saw like that kind of, like, you had that big frame using those knees, using that Muay Thai style. It's really good. His hands have been looking pretty good too. Like, he does get hit, but the output is nice, and I like the way he throws it, the shots. He's not just kind of winging them. Walt Harris, yeah, he got a loss against Walt Harris as well. Like, and Walt Harris, he got a win over it. So I mean, I obviously you can't use MMA math, but I mean, just looking, you got a win over Morris. Yeah, the armbar Morris Green, that's a good win, man. 3 months ago, so more consistent. I just feel like if you want my honest pick, dude, like, it's a heavyweight fight, so this is like it's tough to bet on, man. We all know, right? Betting on heavyweight fights, betting on like the light, betting on a lot of women's MMA as well, kind of risky to do, right? Because the heavyweights, of course, they can all end it with a one shot, but with a lot of female fights, it goes to decision, and it's like you have to wonder about how the judges are going to be, and how they're going to see it, and you just don't know how they're going to show up, who's going to be more on their game, land more. But yeah, with this, I would say, to be honest with you, I'm liking Werdum. I just don't. I think for Oleineik to win, I think he's going to have to land that bomb and get the respect early, which he can. But I feel like I think that's too much to bet on. I think that's too much to. You can't just put your faith in that. I was like, oh well, he'll just land that like a scorpion sting that will land. It's just going to put the venom in him. He's going to get him. I don't think so, man. I think for Fabricio Werdum, I have to say I feel more confident in him. But like I said, if you're really, really, I'm not saying to bet on the house on him, and you can even put him in a parlay if you want. But if you ask me who my pick is, I would say I can't say I'm gonna bet Oleineik. I'm gonna choose Werdum. I have to. I mean, going back in the tape and just, I mean, like I said, there's red flags. He's coming back after this loss. I mean, at least Oleineik, as being more consistent, is going to be the for lack of a better word, fresh as a fire. He's going to be more experienced. I mean, that's a better way to put it. He's going to be, I think, that kind of ring rust. I mean, it's up to you if you believe that or not, but it's a bit of a red flag. You have to have a little, a little exclamation point there. Like, hey, look at this, 2-year layoff. But yeah, I think Werdum, I think his frame, I think his striking has really improved as well, and the ground game's going to kind of neutralize. So I feel like, and those knees, he really lands them really well. They go up, upward. He smells blood. He's going to do it, and he's very dynamic as well. And I think, yeah, I think Oleineik might get a little spam happy. He might spam the that's a really weird thing to say. He might spam the takedowns a little too much. Who knows? But and so I think Werdum is gonna, he can really catch him with something. I mean, he's happy to clinch up and land those knees. So I feel like Werdum is gonna get the job done. Just it's up to you whether how much you feel against risk, or how when did I open this? how if you really want to play it safe. I mean, this is it's hard to. I mean, heavyweight fights are not really safe, but I think that's my pick. It's up to you whether you want to just kind of pass, or if you're feeling Oleineik, hey, I mean, you can make it fun. I mean, you don't know. You could get that nice little profit, him being the underdog, right? I mean, because he could land it. Could you imagine just like landing that choke from the bottom? Whew, that'd be amazing against a Werdum. Jeez Louise, but I think for me, like I just can't go against Werdum in this one.